John Seidel here from Trucking Wins. I was sitting on the internet the other day and I clicked on my LinkedIn app and I read an article and there was a driver sitting in a little chair saying, hey, who feels that drivers are over-regulated? And one of my competitors doing online training, I have to say he's an attorney, so this probably speaks volumes. He's like, drivers aren't over-regulated, they do studies. Studies, right? Yeah, some of the regs are supported by study, but sometimes they just throw a dart at a dartboard. Let's be real, right? They don't have drivers in Washington, D.C. making these regs. So when I was an investigator with the feds, I'd get questions all the time. And they would say, how come this rule? How come this rule? And here's what I would tell every investigator or anybody in a training session. See this door? When you're going to do regulations, you need to leave your common sense at the door. This green book right here, it has words in it. You need to do A, B, C. If this book says you need to do it, you need to do it. Some of the stuff in here is stupid. We all know it, but it's in here and you gotta do it. So, leave your common sense at the door and make sure you're following everything in here. Is it all based on study? No. Some of it, sure. But all these rules, no way. Here's the perfect example I give when someone says, why is this rule there? Truckers need to follow the 11-hour rule, the 14-hour rule, they need 10 hours off. Prior to 2003, that is not what truckers had to do. Old school truckers, you know what I'm talking about. Truckers used to have 10 hours of driving, a 15-hour day that would accumulate, and you only had to take 8 hours off. You young guys, you're like, what is he talking about? Because you've been 11, 14 with 10 hours off since you got your CDL. Now in 03, the government said, hey, it's not safe enough to have this old rule set. So truckers hauling replaceable goods, they said, we need new rules that are safer, right? Well, they left the old rules in place for an entire industry. What industry still follows the old rules prior to 2003 that weren't good enough for truckers? Motor coach. Who drives in a motor coach? Old people going to casinos and on trips because they're afraid of an airplane, right? So if you transport old people, you can use the old rules. You transport televisions and mattresses, you need safer rules. What's the most precious commodity in America? You'd say people, but not all people, because old people are ready to die, no offense. Children are more precious than old people. We'd all agree. Come on, this ain't politics. What are the hours of service for school bus drivers? None. So, what study did they do that said it's a good idea to have the most restrictive hours of service for truckers, then be a little less restrictive for transporting old people, but if you transport children, work all the hours you want, you're not even regulated, right? So hearing that on LinkedIn, I fell out of my chair in laughter. Are some of the regs supported by this? Yes, but all of them? No way. Come on, Trucking Wins, we can debate all these regs, but I'm going to steer you right back to this example because it's the one I find the funniest.